Shabbat Shalom. I think if you're like me, you might be a little shaken up at world events this week. You may be kind of reacting in disbelief at what you're seeing. You may be thinking the era when countries attacked other countries to swallow them up is over. Yes, there's other kinds of conflicts, but what we're seeing tonight, our hearts go out to the people of Ukraine, and I'll have more to say about that a little bit later. But we will be emphasizing prayers of peace in our service, knowing that it will take some time, but hoping that a measure of peace will go to that troubled part of the world. I really want to also thank members of the 7th grade this evening who came out on a night following some ice and sleet earlier today to help us. All of our 7th graders are deep into their B'nai Mitzvah training, and we appreciate that because there's a few times here in the winter when we don't have a particular grade that is sponsoring the service and leading the service. Our next family service will be our youngest children. So thanks to the 7th graders who have also led 2 different services via Zoom earlier this year as well. Our Shabbat evening service will begin with the classic song of Welcome to the Shabbat, page 20 in our prayer book, and this is a upbeat melody that we did last week. Please rise. We face the entrance to the synagogue to welcome Shabbat.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה.
Standing for our call to worship, the Baruch Hu, page 28. Please be seated. On the next page, page 29, there is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures and with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless. On page 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We join together in the Shema.
Nikki, are you joining me?
No.
No?
After.
Okay. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod
I invite Ash to come forward to lead us in the V'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל לשונך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי תבשרך היום על לבניך ושיבתם לבניך ודיברתם בם ושינתך בדתך ולשך בדרך ושומרך ובקומך וקשרשם לאור על ידיך והיו אתותיך בין עיניך ושרתם על מזוזות ביתך וישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי ושהם קדושים לאלוהיהם אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר נשאתי אתם מארץ מצרים להיות להם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Adonai Elohim, amen. Beautiful, Ash. Thank you.
It's really nice to have real live people coming back to lead some of our prayers. That it has been a long time with that. The Michamocha prayer that speaks of our liberation during the Exodus. And it's times like these where we really cherish our freedom. When we see freedom being taken away someplace else, we'll be led by Nikki. The Michamocha is on page 40. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. The Hashkivenu in the English interpretation this evening, page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. The Shamru, which is our praise of Sabbath and the covenant, page 44, we ask Shane to lead us.
Israel, Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו. בני ובן, בני ישראל, אותי עולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Now, Nikki Guberman has a sister named Charlotte who became a bat mitzvah here 2 years ago, I think it was?
No, last year.
Oh, just last year?
Just last year.
Year and
Yes,
a half
yes.
ago, maybe? In any case, I asked her when she came in, would you like to read prayer as well, as the older sibling of a bar mitzvah student? And she said yes. And so for the tefillah, vote prayer, beginning on page 46, Charlotte comes forward. Please rise. Do the first part of the microphone, then we turn it
Adonai zefatati tach ufi agidari vatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu V'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Kohen HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imaot, U'Mevei U'Ravim V'Lechem, Leman Shemo v'Yavah, Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Mageh, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor ve'Elam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol Atah ve'Moshiach, Mashiv haruach u'morid ha'gashem, Mechayeh ha'im ve'chesed, Mechayeh hakol ve'rachamim rabim, Sorei noflim ve'rochei olim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayeh emunato, L'shem Eloheinu.
Great. Please be seated. We heard every word of that Amidah prayer.
Oh, that was stunning.
The beautiful prayer in English, "Grant us peace," is on page 61. And this is a prayer asking for peace for our country. We obviously spread this prayer out around the world. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. And now the cantor will do Sim Shalom. That is a variation of the Shalom Rav prayer that you see on the previous page. It's the version from the morning, same prayer, Sim Shalom, grant peace.
Shalom.
Now, after the Amidah, our thoughts turn to those of our loved ones in need of healing, be this a healing of body or a healing of soul. Our healing prayers go out to one of our own religious school students this evening. I just learned that one of our students who had his bar mitzvah last year and is currently in my confirmation class, Kale Dennis, experienced surgery, and we're hoping, Kale, that you have a refuah shlema, a full recovery. We also add the name Laura McDaniel to our healing prayer list and those that you summon in your own minds as we join with the Cantor in the Misha Berach healing prayer. In the Torah reading cycle, as we come to the end of the book of Exodus this week and next week, things are not so good for the Israelites in the desert. There's been that incident of the golden calf right after Sinai that we read about 2 weeks ago, and the people are complaining, not enough water, not enough food, not enough faith. Moses says to them, we really have to come together as a community. And they build the tabernacle, and he asked everybody to contribute to the tabernacle, the portable sanctuary that eventually became the synagogue, hoping that in the act of everybody contributing something, they'll come together more as a community. And the first word of this week's Torah portion is a verb, veyakel, from which the word kihila comes from, and kihila is one of the traditional names of the synagogue. So as we pause for a moment now, we think about, how we can enhance the sense of community wherever we live and our faith community as well. I hope everybody listening at home could hear the power of that as our Cantor's beautiful voice filled our sanctuary. Every once in a while, what I plan to speak about gets shoved aside by the events of the week, the events of the world. And this week is one of those. I had thought about what I wanted to talk about, the second part of two parts on criticism of Israel and a local controversy that's making national headlines across the river in Scarsdale. That will have to wait for next week because of what we've seen happen in the world this week. So let me begin by saying that 100 years ago, an 18-year-old woman said goodbye to her family in Lvov, now called Lviv, in the western Ukraine, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And she came alone to the United States 100 years ago in 1922 because her parents said to her, "You don't have a future in this country and in this part of the world, and we have to say goodbye. But this is what you need to do." That was my grandmother. And she left behind her family in what is now the Ukraine. And her parents were so right because she never saw them again. And most of her extended family perished in the Holocaust when it swept through that part of Europe. Do you know that on the eve of World War II, there were 1.5 million Jews in Ukraine alone? At the end of the Holocaust, there were 500,000. So 1 million of the 1.5 million from Ukraine were killed. And then of those remaining, after the fall of the Soviet Union, 80% of Ukraine's Jewish population emigrated either to Israel or primarily to the United States. Today, there are officially about 40,000 Jews left in the Ukraine, but the number of people who come from Jewish ancestry and are connected in some way, substantially more than that. It's still a population of probably close to 200,000. I wanted to say a few words about the Jewish population of Ukraine in solidarity with them and with the Ukrainian people, because the Ukraine is one of the great Jewish communities in Jewish history. When you hear about the capital today, Kiev or Kyiv, that was a great Jewish center. But Odessa was another example in the Crimea. Even Chernobyl, where the nuclear accident happened, there was a great Jewish community there. The president of my board at the Jewish Publication Society was born in Kiev, in Ukraine, and escaped here in the 1980s. But she's a direct descendant of the great Rabbi of Chernobyl. That's where her very ultra-Orthodox family came from. The number of famous Jews from the Ukraine is remarkable given the size of the country. The great Hasidic leader, Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, from the Ukraine. The great writer, Isaac Babel, from Ukraine. The great Hebrew poet, Chaim Nachman Bialik, from the Ukraine. Golda Meir, born in the Ukraine, grew up in Wisconsin and Milwaukee for a few years, then made Aliyah to Israel, became the prime minister, originally from the Ukraine. Leon Trotsky, from the Ukraine. I read a list today of American Jews of Ukrainian Jewish descent. It's a who's who, from like Steven Spielberg on, it's a who's who of Jewish Americans, all from the Ukraine. A great Jewish community, a Jewish community feeling very much in peril tonight, as are the Ukrainian people as a whole. Now, how many of you know, by a show of hands, that the president of Ukraine is Jewish? Some of you, most of you, because actually some people are just learning about it now and are astounded. The fact that Ukraine could elect a Jewish president is pretty amazing, but Vladimir Zelensky is certainly Jewish. He was a lawyer turned entertainment executive turned comedian who just almost as a fluke, but extremely popular figure, won the election to the presidency several years ago. Well, his grandfather, Semyon, fought for the Red Army. Semyon's father, Vladimir Zelensky's great-grandfather, and all three brothers were killed in the Holocaust. So Zelensky is a Jewish Ukrainian and a descendant of those who fought and perished during the Second World War and in the Holocaust. So when Vladimir Putin talks about the leaders of Ukraine being neo-Nazis, Zelensky takes that personally. And I think it's actually intentional on the part of Putin to be seeking out. Zelensky filmed a moving 2-minute video today, standing there. You might have seen it, where he said, "Here we are, and here we stand." But he also said, "This may be the last night that you see me alive." And that is, that's horrible. That's terrible. I also wanted to mention, as we talk and pay tribute to the Ukrainian Jewish community and the Jewish people in their hour of need, it's very quiet. It doesn't make the news purposely. Did you know that last week, the state of Israel brought out 100 Jews from Ukraine? and they are trying to work to get out Jews even as we speak. That's the state of Israel and the meaning of that. Part of the reason Israel has tried to be quiet about things is because they are trying to save Jews coming out. Same thing with the JDC, the Joint Distribution Community. In every war, in every conflict, this organization, whose name you may not even recognize, brings emergency aid to the Jewish communities and is trying to make contact with Jews scattered throughout the country. But as you know, people are on the move, and nearly 1 million Ukrainians are trying to cross the border now. It's estimated that as many as 5 million may seek to leave the country, primarily across the Polish border. So this evening, we express our solidarity with the Jewish community of Ukraine, with the people of Ukraine. You may share in my feeling of helplessness that we can't prevent what is happening right now, but we can only stand together against this type of aggression and hope that it will cease soon. I'll leave you with 2 images that I saw on the news. They're just going through my mind just before coming to the synagogue. The first was a Russian tank veering from its lane to crush a passenger car that was going in the opposite direction. Unbelievably, this was caught on film, and the older man in the car survived and was pulled out by passerbys. I don't know how, because his car was a pancake. I don't know how he survived. But that kind of haunting image of a Russian tank attacking an innocent civilian, and deliberately so, is not easily forgotten. And the final image was of babies being taken from a neonatal intensive care unit down to the bomb shelter because the hospital was being obliterated. That's the cost of war. May the blessings of peace come soon before too many suffer. Shabbat Shalom. For the Aleinu prayer, the bottom of page 282. As we open the ark, and you see the beautiful Emuno 150 Torah cover in the center, please rise. You know what? Let's get our 7th graders up here to do the Aleinu together like we do on Sunday mornings. It's good practice too.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שירו נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומשל יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אפס דרכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום וידעת Adonai hu ha'Elohim בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחתינו. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
As we remain standing, our thoughts now turn to those of our loved ones recently taken from our midst during the Shoshim, during the past 30 days. Kate Sachs and Blanche Goodwin. And with a very heavy heart, I announce the death today of a beloved member of our congregation, Earl Ziff. Earl's funeral will take place on Monday, and Shiva will be held on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Our condolences go out to the Ziff family. And on this Shabbat, in love and reverence, the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Harry Roberg, brother of Kurt Roberg, Abe Kramer, brother of Miriam Wool. For all those close to our hearts, for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish, we join in the Kaddish Prayer, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'hayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalek v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shamayim v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Imru Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen. Please be seated. Thank you to Dylan Priblo for live streaming our service this evening, which remains very, very important to our congregation. Torah study will take place via Zoom tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. While we don't have Shabbat evening services anymore on Zoom, Torah study will be continuing until further notice on Zoom, as it does every Saturday morning. And I'm very glad to say that in-person religious school will resume after a hiatus this particular Sunday. That includes the confirmation class as well. Our Shabbat service will conclude in a moment, but once again, thank you to the seventh graders and to Charlotte for helping lead our service. And as we take the slow steps toward normal, having people come up to the bima to lead and assist us is a welcome sign. Michael?
The Purim spiel is coming up.
As you know, the next Jewish holiday in about 2.5 weeks now is the Purim Spiel. It's going to be taking place in person right here on the eve of Purim, Wednesday evening, the 15th or 16th, I believe. And did you want to announce something else about the Purim Spiel?
Not just that it's in person and.
It's in person. There's a group hard at work, and let me tell you, it's really going to be special. My upcoming column in the Kadima is about it. This Purim Spiel is an original written by our past president, Lance Strait, for our 150th anniversary. And I can tell you that the characters are going to travel back in time, 150 years and at different intervals in our long history, and do songs connected to each period of the history. So very, very clever and very special. So we'll look forward to celebrating with a short Megillah reading, followed by the spiel for the holiday of Purim. Purim was the last thing we celebrated together 2 years ago, if you remember. Just got it in. Well, yeah, it'll be the third year when all the craziness began. So that is a big step. Thank you for telling me to give some advance notice about that. And so we end on a note of peace once again with, is this a song in English or Hebrew or both?
Both?
Both. By one of your teachers, correct?
Yes,
One of
by
your
Benji Ellen Schiller, Cantor Schiller.
May the one who makes peace.
May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. 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 Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. Oseh shalom b'me'omav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Oseh shalom b'me'omav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Amen. Amen. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will sing Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.